flashbacks wasn't. It's sometimes also even when you're awake. It's like
visually.
It could be a sound. It could be the sound of a helicopter going over your head, and then it takes you back to a moment in time, to something that you're trying to not think about. It's stuff like that. But yeah, it wasn't until like I started when I was out, and then I started talking to people. Like sometimes I get these things, like someone's like I had this like. It was such a huge feeling of like, I'm gonna die a violent death.
Happy New Year and happy 2026 to my lovely listeners and viewers. Welcome back. Woo! I actually miss you guys. We took a break as we were all supposed to do during the Christmas holidays, and we are back. We are back. We are better. We've got more energy, and I can't wait to share with you what we've got for you this particular year, 2026. So you don't want to miss any episode. And with that being said, please, I've just found out that I've got new viewers who come on my page all the time. I've got almost about 93.9% who view my content and are new. Welcome to the Shelf Conversation podcast. You have not missed your chance of being with this family. In fact, every single day is an opportunity for us to be together, to share new ideas, and also to be able to contribute to our own mental health. So welcome to the family, and please take some time to subscribe. So 2026 is going to be full of great guests, as we've always been doing. It's going to be full of great episodes, as we've been doing. It's just a matter of time that we are going to increase the consistency, and also to be able to bring more guests that you guys have actually requested onto this podcast platform. And without you, this platform doesn't grow. So please spread the word to other people so that we can grow together in this 2026. So today's conversation is quite interesting because personally, this is my first time that I'm having such a conversation with someone from such a space. So I'm also going to take the time to learn it. You've heard about PTSD, right? We keep on using that word PTSD. We keep on throwing it around. But most of the time, what we might be experiencing is not PTSD. Someone might even be asking, what does PTSD stands for? We use it every single day, but we don't even know what it is for, or we don't know what it stands for. So why don't you stay tuned to this conversation for us to find more about PTSD. So as I've already made mention of, PTSD stands for post-traumatic stress disorder. Let me repeat it. Post-traumatic stress disorder. And post-traumatic stress disorder is a mental health challenge that is triggered by someone's past traumatic experience, which is either they've observed it, they've witnessed it, or they've lived with it. So today, I'm here with Albert. Albert is an osteopath who is also a British Army veteran, a father, a mental health advocate. Born in Ghana, he moved into the UK at the age of 18 and went straight to serve 8 years in the British Army, including multiple overseas deployments. Drawing on both his military experience and clinical background, Albert speaks openly about stress, mental health, and PTSD, and how they affect everyday life. Today, he helps busy professionals overcome pain and injury through a practical blend of osteopathy, strength training, and also education. So believing that movement is one of the most powerful tools for both physical and mental well-being. Thank you very much, Albert.
Thank you.
How are you doing today?
I'm very good, thank you.
Yeah?
A bit nervous.
A bit nervous? Why? Why?
Because
Why?
I haven't spoken publicly about this ever. So yes, I know.
Wow.
It's
bringing back
going to be
memories.
therapy for me as well. So I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you very much. As viewers and listeners, you always know this space is a space for us all to build together and share openly, because we know that our story will go a long way to be able to motivate someone, and also our story will go a long way of also getting other people to be able to share their experience, because your experience might be the answer to someone else's experience they are actually having. So we don't need to keep our experience to ourselves. We share not for sharing's sake, but we share to heal. So Albert, as I made mention that our topic is about PTSD, and you serve in the British Army for 8 years. We're not going to go straight and delve into the nitty-gritty. We're just going to take it slowly. As you said, it's actually therapeutic. So we're going to walk the journey with you as well. As over here in the UK, as I made mention, PTSD is not something I have openly been able to have a conversation with anyone. And most of the time, when I was doing the research by the Royal College of Psychiatrists, they said one of the occupational hazards of certain work, such as social work, such as emergency work, and even in the military, is PTSD. Take us through your journey into going into the military.
So as you said earlier, I moved to the UK from Ghana, open to new opportunities.
+233.
And so I arrived here and I was a little bit, obviously there was a cultural shock initially.
Yes.
And then trying to figure out what I'm going to do and find my feet and all of that. And then I had an uncle who was serving in the military at the time. And he
over here in the UK or in
over
Ghana?
Here in the UK. So, and he had returned from Iraq. So he was telling me all these cool stories. And I was an 18-year-old. I was like, okay, this sounds like fun. Yeah, so I was a bit lost in life. So I just, took the plunge. And straight into it from training, you knew they drilled it into you that in 3 months' time you're going to be out there. Because at the time we had Afghanistan and Iraq going on. So that was the context. So straight away you knew you had to take everything you were being taught seriously because it was only a matter of time. And so finished training and then got shipped out there. And
when you say shipped out there, you mean Iraq?
Afghanistan. So I actually missed out on Iraq. So I missed out on, and it sounds crazy, but at the time you're young, you're hungry, you're like, you've been conditioned that you're almost like, waiting to be like released. Yeah. So, because I guess you kind of want to put the training to use as well. And I wanted to go to Iraq, but I missed out because by the time I went to my regiment, they were almost coming back, and it didn't make sense for me to go. I wouldn't have been there long enough to get a medal. So
where was the regiment?
It was my first regiment was a 12 logistics regiment. We were based in Germany actually. So that was my first posting from training. I was sent out to Germany. And that was also another experience. And then I ended up going to Afghanistan. So that was where a lot of my experiences
actually started.
Come from,
And you made mention that you were a bit lost. That's the reason why you joined. That was the initial concept. And you're not the first to share that story with me because I've got a friend who is also a veteran, and she told me the same kind of thing, that she wanted to use that to navigate because once you go through that kind of discipline, you come out actually really, really trained. And I was doing some research, and they said that PTSD actually affects more people than many actually realize, and especially among those who have actually served in conflict zones like where you were in Afghanistan. And recently, UK research estimates that around 9.4% of current and ex-serving military personnel now meet the criteria for probable PTSD, and that there's a rise about 6% a decade ago. So my question is that among UK veterans who were deployed to Iraq or Afghanistan, there's probably a high percentage of them who have one way or another witnessed something. Is there any form of service or any kind of provision within the military that ensures that whilst you're serving at the war front, your pastoral care is being taken care of?
That's a very loaded question. So I think I read those stats as well. So average 1 in 10 veteran has PTSD. If you were in Afghan or Iraq, that changes to 1 in 5. So yeah, guys that were there are, at a much higher rate. When you're serving, there might be. I left the military almost a decade ago now.
Yeah.
So I know things have changed. Even from the time that I was leaving, I could see they were making more emphasis on like bullying and harassment and stuff like this that was not a thing before. Before it was like, you just do what you're told.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're just conditioned to actually be
just
tough.
go.
Yeah.
Like, you just do, as long as you have a superior telling you something, you do it.
You just have to do it.
And
I heard that even in the military, you are not actually allowed to ask questions.
No.
Just do it.
Yeah,
you are just being asked the
sometimes
instructions. Yeah.
You do not have the time to ask questions on the battlefront. You don't have the time.
Everything
to
is
ask.
timely.
Boom.
Yeah.
It needs to, like, if I'm telling you something, I know what I'm telling you. So as long as I'm your superior, like, so that's the condition. So it creates a culture of, in some respects, so the other thing is you cannot show weakness. So it's like even when you're sick and I had knee surgery, right? I had knee surgery while serving for an injury that I had. People knew I had knee surgery, and it was like, well, why are you not running with us? This is like months after knee surgery. I'm like, like why? And then after a while, it's like your grace runs out. It's like people start looking at you funny. It's like
you are weak.
You must be milking it. It's like, why are you not? So it creates an atmosphere of, even if you just get on with it. If you're sick, you had to come into work to report first before going to the medical center. So you can't just, Sergeant, I'm sick today. It doesn't work like that.
Do you think other people too were taking advantage of that? Because as the military has been painted as very methodical and you have to follow certain forms of instruction. Do you think people were taking advantage of people's weakness just so that they show that they are strong, meanwhile they are weak?
Yeah. It's just the culture. It's just the culture. It's, one thing that I learned from it, there were guys, when we were in training, when we were in basic training, there were guys who were very physically fit. It was the hardest thing I've done in my life, right? There were guys who physically, they rise up to the challenge, but mentally they couldn't hack it. So they left.
They just put in their resignation.
Yeah. So it's like, it just trains you to be a certain type of, human
kind
being.
Of person.
It's like now I look back and like some of the stuff that in training, you are affirming to yourself. It's like,
it's not mentally possible.
Yeah, it's like not. You see yourself as an animal.
Yeah.
You are like, you become, what we call a green killing mean machine. That was like you repeat that to yourself over.
Do you think that mentality or that culture was actually brought into place just so that you don't feel any form of remorse for your enemy?
I think partly because, I think sometimes when you have a job to do, you can't. I said to someone the other day, it's like, for a long time, you learn not to feel.
Yes.
You don't have time to feel.
That's what I was just imagining.
You can feel later.
You see your target. You don't even see your target as a human being. You see them as,
come on.
If you don't get rid of them, they'll get rid of you. So you have to just get rid of them. Wow. So upon going through all these, at what point did you realize that I think these kind of actions or this repeated kind of actions in this environment is affecting my mental health?
The funny thing is I didn't. Wow. Yeah. I did it. It wasn't until...
But did you feel any changes that you're not yourself? Wow.
You just numb it all.
Wow.
You know, and it wasn't until people around you start saying, maybe you need to speak to someone. It's like, after a few of days, that's when it's like, okay, maybe like some of the ways that I'm behaving is,
but do other people able to get the time to process what they've seen for them to be able to also take the responsibility of others? Because as you said, others will come or you say something and others will be like, maybe you need to speak to someone. What have they been able to overcome for them to know that this person is actually experiencing something and they need to...
Good question. So maybe I should have clarified. So this was after I left the military.
Oh, okay.
It's like
not on the war front.
So it's like people around me, like I say some stuff and they're like, maybe you need to speak to someone. And I'm like, no, I don't. But after like you hear from a few different people, you start to think, okay, maybe some of the ways that I'm behaving is a bit, but you learn to just normalize it.
Wow.
Yeah.
To my viewers and my listeners, this is actually one of the most emotional kind of conversation I've had, because I'm just trying to picture just being at the war front and fighting for your country, but at the same time, you're also fighting for your own health as well. And this is why these kind of conversations are needed. And it's one of those conversations that I stumbled upon when I saw Albert post on, was it International Men's Day?
It was Remembrance.
It was Remembrance Day.
Yeah.
And Albert actually posted something on the Remembrance Day wearing his uniform. And I've always had this conversation with one of my friends who is also a veteran. So when I saw it and I chanced on it, I said, this is actually a good opportunity for me to sit down to learn more about it, because we've heard it from history, because I did history, and we've heard some of the stories, and all the time, whenever we make mention of war, we end up associating it with PTSD, because the aftermath of war actually is even sometimes worse than even being at the war front, because that's when it becomes quite graphic. Some people are not able to sleep. They start having weird dreams. They start also even having visual hallucination as well, as if they are at the war front. So every part of their life has actually been dedicated for the war. And today we're trying to actually change the status quo. We're trying to actually change the narrative of how we need to actually view things when you see a veteran. I've had opportunity of actually attending remembrance services, and sometimes whenever we see the ex-military men or the ex-servicemen, we just need to actually approach them and at least be in their comfort and ask them certain questions, because they might be battling with something that we will not be able to know if we don't ask, or to be able to support them. So if you are actually got a friend, or you know someone who is actually be at the war front or at the battlefield, take the opportunity to appreciate them, because they sacrifice their life, and some of them, as we made mention, Albert made mention, 1 out of 10 could actually start developing or experiencing PTSD. So Albert, before we actually ended up delving into what we just discussed about your experience at the war front and everything, before you went into the military, did anyone tell you anything about this kind of experience, PTSD?
Before I went into the military, definitely not.
And it never came across, no information, nothing? Not even your uncle?
No. And so this would have been, I joined in 2007, April 2007, I joined. PTSD is, I feel like, only being spoken about recently. Mental health is only being spoken about recently. Like on a larger platform and larger scale since COVID.
Yeah.
Right? So going back to 2007, mental health wasn't a thing. or at least in the mainstream anyway.
In the mainstream,
you
yeah.
know. So, and then again, being in a culture, or the military is a culture where predominantly, like I said, things are changing. Or were changing when I left, and I'm sure speaking to people that are still in there, I can hear there have been some changes towards, moving towards speaking about these things on a
regular basis.
while serving as well,
While serving.
which wasn't a thing before. So no, I wasn't aware of it.
Very aware of it.
Yeah.
But I'm happy that today we are actually sitting down and actually having the conversation, because it would help to inform, because I've got one of my friends who is serving in the British Army, and the last time I remember his regiment was at Woolwich.
Right.
So I actually respect him for him actually going there, because I've seen a lot of changes, both physically and mentally. One time I called him, he told me that he was in his bunker, and I was like, wow. So we shared that experience. We've not caught up in a long time because of his schedule, because sometimes he's actually been deployed, sometimes he comes home, and when he comes home it's a short period of time. So I tend to actually understand. So when you started experiencing the symptoms, what was the first thing that became apparent, that stood out to you, that I think I've reached a point that I need help?
So again, I didn't even really think about it from the perspective of I need help. So in my case, it was a feeling of someone is out there to get me. Yeah.
Hypervigilant.
Yeah. It's like, so it's like I'm always constantly looking behind my shoulder. It's like when I go in some spaces, I'm like assessing the threats, I'm always like, okay, if I go into a room, it's like, okay, where are the exits? Is there anything I can use as a weapon? Like, you've done your quick assessment before you can, but even then. And in some spaces, you feel it more than the others. But so it was that hypervigilance, which I didn't know.
Was it when you were awake, or even when you were asleep, you still felt that kind of hypervigilance?
When you sleep, it manifests differently. But everyone also has different symptoms. So I can only speak from my perspective.
So when you were asleep, what were you experiencing? What was manifesting?
It could be in the form of like dreams, and your sleep being disturbed, and
Was it having flashbacks to you?
Yeah.
Flashbacks as well?
Yeah, and the flashbacks it's sometimes also even when you're awake. It's like
visually.
It could be a sound. It could be the sound of a helicopter going over your head, and then it takes you back to a moment in time, to something that you're trying to not think about. It's stuff like that. But it wasn't until like I started, when I was out, and then I started talking to people, like sometimes I get these things, like someone is like, I had this, like, it was such a huge feeling of like, I'm gonna die a violent death, and it's like I couldn't shake it off. And there was a part of you or of me that felt it was justified. There was a part of me that, it was like, it is what it is, But then it was like, when you start talking about some of the things with your loved ones, and like, maybe you should speak to someone, and it's like, oh, maybe I do. But that was like one of the moments, and there were a few other
symptoms.
Other symptoms.
Did you ever actually get easily triggered?
Yeah.
Emotionally?
Yeah, emotionally.
And did you express it? Was it very apparent to people around you that Albert is not actually in the mood? His mood has switched, he's changed.
Let's put it this way. The Amazon delivery drivers don't like me.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Why?
Because a loud bang on my door is you're getting it when I open that door.
Even to date?
Sometimes.
So we've made mention of the symptoms. So when you were able to identify, or people were able to point out, which place was your first point of contact to seek for help? Who did you call first, or which avenue did you go first?
I spoke to a friend. He was also a veteran. And then I said to him, I was like, I've been, shared some of the symptoms. I'm like, are you? And, it's like, yeah, actually, I'm speaking to some people, so maybe I can put you in touch. And then, so they pulled me through to an organization, and then, they put you for an assessment, and then they get you to speak to a therapist and all of that stuff. So, yeah, that was it was through someone that I had served with.
So viewers and listeners, as we make mention of, the community is about sharing. Albert was able to get someone who shared their experience with him, that gave him the confidence to be able to seek further to what he was actually experiencing, and eventually he got the help. That's the reason why the Shelf Conversation podcast is actually been designed to make that kind of stuff actually happen, that we are not just listening, or we are not just watching for watching's sake, but we are listening and watching to be able to get answers to some of the stuff we are doing, to be able to get the prompt to seek further to what we are experiencing. So Albert, moving on, you got the help after coming. When you started getting the help, that did anything change from the get-go, or did it take some time? Did you even believe that something was going to change? Let me put it that way.
I love that question.
Let me put it that way.
I feel like, yeah. So, did anything change from the get-go? Yes and no. Yes, from the perspective of like, finally, finally. Yeah. And I guess it's also like validation of,
what you're going through.
Yeah, what you're going through. Someone, validating it. And I knew that actually, so there is a way out of this. Yeah. So there was that sense. And also from the perspective of like, I also learned to understand it was going to take time. And it was going to be a long journey. And it is still something that
you're still working on.
Yeah. I've come to learn that, and I think I've got to the point where I'm like, you have periods where you have more symptoms or are triggered, but I think the good thing from being on the journey is I've learned some techniques to help. And also from my training as well. So that has helped me a bit learn how to, I guess, manage it in a way.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. And whilst you were experiencing the symptoms, I'm asking this question because this is a personal question. Did any point in time a thought come across your mind that, am I not experiencing masculine toxicity? It's got nothing to do with the military that I'm in, or I was in.
I think in my case, I knew it was the military because of
who you knew you were before you went.
Exactly. So there is that, but then also I knew a lot of the time I would feel the symptoms when I have certain like thoughts. Like I knew the triggers.
You knew your triggers.
There were patterns that made me know, okay, these were experiences from when I was in the military.
And the moment you know your triggers, one thing always I ask people, even at work, when because I work in the children and adolescents mental health services, one of the things I'm always looking for is, do you know your triggers? Because knowing your triggers helps me. It's like, what, let's put it down. We will know that this is something that triggers you. Now that we know it, let's put it aside. Let's make sure that we don't let this get in your way. In that case, we are now looking for any other thing. So once any form of support is given, we are still observing. Is it going to improve or something else is going to show up? Because I believe that knowing what triggers you is also part of the answer. It's like the puzzle. You've solved that piece of the puzzle. So you know that when there's a helicopter coming, you know how to react. It will not come out of the blue moon that you start actually feeling shaking, or it takes you back to some of the deep moments or the traumatic moments as well. So I'm happy that you know actually your triggers is solve the problem. And if there is anyone watching us and knows someone who is actually an ex-serviceman, what kind of signs should they start observing about the person to know that maybe the person is leaning towards the line of developing PTSD? Not saying that the person has been diagnosed, but what signs should they be concerned?
That's a very good question. I think I need to prefix by saying that it shows up differently in everyone, or everyone is going to manifest it differently. Right? Okay. It's a spectrum. And also it's individual experiences, and in cases where maybe someone has more support around them, it helps as well in managing it better. But some of the symptoms I would say is like withdrawal. So there are, in my case, there were large parts of time where you just, in your own world. So, and sometimes that creates problems in relationships, so it's like, why are you not here?
And I'll come there.
Why are you not here?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like your loved ones can get it to an extent as well, but then sometimes it becomes frustrating, So withdrawal is one of those things, maybe like temperament issues as well. So there are times where people might, let me keep it generalized, there are times that people might like have outbursts, anger outbursts, like unexplained for, unprovoked. So low mood, appetite issues is another one. So maybe low appetite, lethargy, fatigue, depression as well is a common link
within PTSD. Henceforth, most of them actually are given antidepressants.
Right. Right. So that's one of the medications that helps manage it. And then obviously sleep disturbances is another one. The hypervigilance you spoke about is another one. So in some cases, so the hypervigilance might, so if it's like fireworks time, like November time, it's like,
It triggers.
So
I can understand.
And the funny thing is, when going back to the question you asked me about PTSD earlier, so when we were in training, one of my sergeants shared a story. He had been in Iraq and Afghanistan multiple times. So you learn from the guys that have been there, done that, right?
Yes.
And then they can also teach you, the current tactics to survive out there. And he used to share a story with one of his friends where, anytime they hear fireworks, they just lose the plot, and we didn't really think much of it.
Take me through how they react, because I want to understand.
Yeah.
Is it that when they hear the sound of the fireworks, they get angry, or they react in a certain way? Just paint a picture for me to actually understand, and also the viewers and the listeners as well.
Again, it would vary from person to person, but
if you hear it, how would you?
So it puts you back into that conflict zone, right? It's like gunshots. It's like explosives going on. It just takes you back to a moment in time.
And does that make you?
And then
do something presently.
So that makes you feel something presently. Okay. So it makes you, angry. It makes you,
make you prepared.
Yeah.
Like in the war zone.
It's like a switch is being flicked. Like instantaneously, it's like you become a different person.
You have to start putting on your protective measures to protect yourself, ready to go. So would you say that if, for example, an ex-military man who has actually experienced PTSD or currently experiencing PTSD or being managed with PTSD, if they hear fireworks and fireworks is their trigger, and let's say they have got a rifle next to them, do you think they'll take it?
Potentially. Potentially. It again, like I said, it would vary from person to person. So this is where, again, sometimes having and learning through, therapy and all of these things, sometimes it helps you deal with those moments a lot better. But yeah, people might, get a bit jumpy, they might get angry, they might, sometimes even have physical symptoms, like, because it puts you into that fight or flight,
Mode, yes.
A sympathetic nervous system, so you're like, you can have physical symptoms where like you're
either shaking or ready or I'm ready for war.
And sometimes you need to like, calm yourself down once you realize, actually,
it's not a war zone.
I'm not there anymore. So it's like, okay, how do I then just, you can't just go back, So sometimes learning some of the techniques to deal with it helps you, again, flick that switch a lot quicker.
Wow. Yeah. And in your talk, you talk about movement and strength training. How does that actually help with mental health recovery?
That's a very good question. I feel like, so movement in general, I love movement. It's personally, it's helped me a lot. I remember I made a post in the past where I talk about some of the most difficult times of my life. Movement has been that thing for me, that has kept me sane, or kept me from going over the edge. And so obviously from a physical perspective, it helps improve blood flow and keep things moving, which means you are less likely to be stiff and tense in your muscles and joints. And then also, which means even if you have pain, so if you I've had surgeries on my knee, right? And like through movement, it helps me to
heal.
Exactly, and even like if you have a chronic issue, even though it might not be cured through movement, there is a lot of research to back that movement acts as pain relief.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So I preach this to, the people that I work with and the people that are around me, that it might hurt, but move it.
Yeah.
Because motion is lotion, Yeah, so once you keep it moving, it keeps blood circulating and the body heals a lot better.
Fantastic. And if you are now joining the conversation, I'm here today. My guest is Albert. Albert is an ex-British militaryman, and he's sharing his experience at the war front and also how his role as a soldier in fighting for Britain in Afghanistan actually had an impact on his health. And we are talking about PTSD and stress today. So if you have actually just joined us, I would encourage you to take a pause and rewind to start from the beginning, because there might be some vital information that you might have actually missed, which is going to be really, really helpful. There might be someone closer to you who might be experiencing these symptoms or signs that it has not caught your attention. Maybe today might be giving you those answers that you have always been looking for. So why don't you subscribe and share with your family, because this channel is a family-friendly channel. So please, why don't you also support us by leaving your comments, asking your questions, joining the community, and let the rest of the world to hear about the Shelf Conversation, because 2026 is all about the growth. We want to see transformation. I'm going to bring a lot more guests over here. Interesting conversation surrounding the mental health topic. So, Albert, we've made mention about your experience, the experience of your colleagues. Currently, some of the support that is actually being instituted in the military over here in the UK. I believe that other parts of the world might be reviewing and might have actually put in the necessary support for their military men. Currently, there is a high rising number of ex-military men developing PTSD. and to think about it that the current support system over here in NHS or charities, do you think it's adequate enough to be relieving the massive pain on their back and in the heart of the soldiers who've served for the country?
That's a very great question, actually. I think short answer is no. That is the short answer. So, again, I read some statistics, and I think the UK veteran population is about 1.8 million.
Wow.
Right? The actual serving personnel are less than 200,000. So I think about 1.6.
Those on deployment?
So those actively serving. So
Okay.
those not out yet.
Okay.
Right. So you've got a 1.8 million population of
Wow, actually,
veterans.
yeah.
They make about 4% of the general UK population, about that. And I think there isn't a lot of, in terms of like institutions, let's put it this way. You obviously get deployed, you go through all these experiences, and again, based on my experience, I don't know what the situation is at the moment in terms of when you're leaving the military, the help or conversation talking about mental health and, in relation to some of the symptoms that you might be going through, what you've seen and experienced. But there wasn't any of that when I was going through. So it's like you're taken from the streets, made into this person, who goes and, have all this amazing around the world. You come back and then they just put you back and expect you to just assimilate seamlessly.
Just become normal.
It doesn't work like that, But obviously, I think like there is a huge veteran population, and I don't think there is a lot of
support.
Institutions that
are taking care of
be
them.
able to,
If you had the opportunity of actually putting some of these support in place, what would be your number one priority?
I think, again, making the conversation like easy to talk about would be a huge. I feel like I'm speaking for a lot of people.
You are, because I'll be honest with you. As I said, my friend we've had that conversation behind the scenes, but right now, in a different profession. I think one day she will come. I'll bring her on board for her to also have that conversation. So when I shared with her that I'm going to have that conversation with you, she was glad because she's always said that I'm looking for. I've been having this conversation. She also wants to start that conversation with her veteran community that she served on the same mission with. She started because they check up on each other and everything. So when we had that conversation, and I told her that I'm bringing, because she's some of the experience she shared with me. One day she also is gonna be in that seat. So I do understand. I do 100%. And so one thing I told her, that one thing I'm praying that I'll be able to do is to sit down with a veteran to have that conversation, so that we don't want it to just end in a conversation, but we want it to end in an actionable form. It starts a conversation and it ends up being transcending into an action form that maybe the health secretary will hear about it, the government will hear about it, the minister of justice will hear about it, and they're like, what can we do for you guys? Because when I went to the remembrance ceremony, I think it was the Commonwealth, but it was the remembrance ceremony at the number 10 Downing Street, and I was there in the midst of a lot of military people, and I've also worked at the Royal Chelsea Hospital. Am I right? Royal Chelsea Hospital. I've worked over there, and it was when I got to know about the history that it used to be an actual hospital, but right now it's housing the veterans. So every time I used to go there to work, it made me feel that these people have actually served the country and they are getting it. But we believe that more can be done to actually support their mental health as well. If there's anyone watching this right now or listening to us, what piece of advice would you give them if they believe that they are struggling with PTSD?
I think there is help out there. There is help out there. And again, a lot of, like myself, I didn't know. And I didn't know there was help out there. And you can go years, struggling without even. But I think some people, which is why I hope this conversation helps. Some people need to even come to the point where they know that actually something is wrong.
Yes.
Like I said, it took a lot of people around me to say stuff.
Your support system to be able to
point out stuff for me to, and then I also noticed actually this is affecting people who are close to me, So,
how did that affect your relationship?
So again, I go back to, you have outbursts, you have, you're not present.
You're physically there, but
you're not
emotionally.
And there's like, you have moments where there are large chunks of the day where you're just not with it, So it's like, how are you then going to interact and be present with, So yeah, I think people, need to come to that point themselves, which is why I'm hoping these conversations would help people. Then, there's help out there. Yeah. So just, obviously, internet now, there are organizations out there who are, offering some support system, even if it's just someone to talk to, and bringing veterans together. So, in some cases, you see and spend time with people who have shared experiences. So going back to what you said about your friend starting a community, I think that's a great idea, because I met a veteran who shared a story with me. He was he went to the Falklands War. And he was telling me...
That was a long time,
That was a long time ago. He said something that broke my heart. And he said they've lost more people since they got back from the war than they did at the war. And a lot of them went out, a lot of them committed suicide.
Took their life.
Yeah. And a lot of them went out in horrible ways.
Albert, I wish that we can actually, because I think we should have a part 2. What do you think? We should have a part 2 of this conversation. 100%. 100%. We should have a part 2 of it, because I wanted us to actually delve much in depth, but time is not actually by our side. But with the remaining time that we've got, we'll try and actually cover as much as we can. Sure. How is life as a father?
I love it. I feel like it's...
bringing some level of balance.
Yes.
Giving you joy.
And also purpose.
Yeah.
Yes. I always say, I can speak from my perspective.
Yeah.
I feel like everything that we do, like we're all going to die and live one day. And I feel like it gives it some meaning to life, that it's not in vain, and you're also helping shape other people. Like that.
I love that.
One of the most,
you are helping shape other people's life, because you have brought someone into life, and you're helping shape their life.
And
I love that.
It's like it's one of the most precious things anyone can do, on this earth. So it's a privilege. It's hard work.
Did it bring any changes?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. And I feel
Spring of joy.
Yes. So, and also wanting to be better.
Yeah.
And again, that's why I'm like, doing some of these things, I'm challenging. It's even changed the way I have daughters. So
daughters?
Yes.
I thought it was one. How many?
Two.
Yes, fantastic.
Yes. So
they're taking care of you.
you get so much love.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's really good. And at what point did you decide that I've come back from military, I've retired, I need to find a new career pathway? What made you enter osteopathy?
That's a great question. So let me go back a little bit.
No worries at all.
So, I got to a point where Afghanistan was done, Iraq was done, the military became slow or slower. And then it was like, you start asking yourself questions, is this what I really want to do? So I signed a 22-year contract. So I joined at 19. I wasn't going to come out till I was 41, right? And then it was like, is this what I want to do for the next, And so I was going through a period where I'm like, I don't know, this is a bit slow now, it's not fun anymore. Like what, you lose meaning, you know? And then I was sent out to Kenya for a training exercise over there, and then I got an injury over there. And then I ended up having some surgeries, and I was medically discharged in the end. So in a way, I was forced out
because of the injuries.
Because of the injury, which I always say, it was a God moment, because I feel like, oh yes, because I felt a bit lost, and even though that decision was then made for me, it kind of led me into, I fell in love with through the surgery. I spent almost a year doing rehab, spending time with the physios, like, going day in, day out, because they want you back,
all the time,
functioning.
Yeah.
So they do everything to try and, get you back out there, and you get one of the best programs you can have. But yeah, so that kind of pushed me into this healthcare space of, now I've had this experience, I don't really know what I'm going to do. And then I was like, what, I like science, I like training, I've had this experience, maybe let me find something that can blend all of my, And again, I was also praying that I get it right in terms of like my next career choice. So I'm glad. I feel very aligned.
And are you loving it?
I love it. I really enjoy it, and I'm grateful for it.
Let's wrap up our conversation with this. How was life living in Ghana or growing up in Ghana?
I love that place. I love Ghana. I love Ghana. I had an amazing time. I grew up very humble beginnings, and I grew up in Ashaiman.
Oh, is it? Ashaiman? I thought Ashaiman, you should be the opposite. You should be the giddy kind of person. Stone boy.
So, yes. So it's a very rough area.
You have to always be on your defense.
So I feel like I feel like it set me up for life, because I did not know I was going to join the army. I did not know, and it's, even though it was tough, it makes you into a different type of, person. You're hungry, So I have very fond memories of growing up in Ghana, and I'm hoping to go back one day. And
fantastic.
Really.
When was the last time you went?
April 24.
2024?
Yes.
Oh, that's not too far.
Yes. So I'm hoping to go this year.
Yeah, I went in January 2024. Nice. I'm hoping to go back again.
Nice.
All right.
Thank
you very much, Albert,
so much.
making this happen. And I hope my viewers and the listeners as well, you actually learned something new today, because I have searched online and I've not seen such a conversation on PTSD being actually had. So I myself, I was there as a host, but I was also a learner as well, because there's so many new stuff that I have actually learned, and I'm going to actually tie it on the knot of my knowledge that I have about PTSD. And as a clinical pharmacist, I'm also going to take that into consideration. And in terms of having a service user from that background, I believe that is going to shape me how I end up providing the support. So until next time, have a lovely day. And remember, 2026 is the year of growth. So let's all grow together as a community. Thank you. Bye.